Welcome everyone. Welcome to our machine learning session. This session is in continuation to our logistic regression session. However, the model performance measures that we are going to discuss are applicable to all supervised machine learning technique where the problem statement is where the target variable is yes or no. So any supervised machine learning problem where the output is yes or no. Examples in credit risk scorecard, the output is customer will default or not default. So the outcome is default, not default. In marketing models, the output is customer will respond or not. In HR, whether an employee is going to resign or not. In telecom, whether the customer is going to churn or not churn. So any of these kind of problem statements where the target variable is dichotomous binary and for which you are using a supervised machine learning technique, example logistic regression, classification tree, random forest, neural network, gradient boosting, whichever machine learning you are using, it's okay. However, these model performance measure will hold. So we are discussing the important model performance measures that we are going to use very frequently. Now the question is, whenever you build a model, the first question is, how do you evaluate your model? There are various model performance measures: rank order table and case statistics. I prefer this the most, and I'm going to explain this at length. Then you have model performance, which is classification accuracy. This is very frequently used when the data is balanced data set. AUC, ROC, in most of the machine learning algorithms, the two model performance measures which are implemented by default, one is classification accuracy and second is AUC, ROC. Classification accuracy is used whenever data is balanced. AUC ROC should be used whenever data is unbalanced. And then you have got other model performance measures like concordance, Gini, Hosmer-Lamaitre goodness of fit, and so forth. So the first one, rank ordering, is what I'm now trying to explain at length, and it is very essential that we understand the rank order and the case statistics, because when it comes to deploying the model, when it comes to creating a model deployment strategy, most of the time the deployment strategy is created based on rank order table. Okay, having said that, let me start off with rank order. Keep yourself fresh, mind not bothering about any other techniques at this point of time. Why? Because what we are discussing is not dependent on logistic regression, it is not dependent on classification tree, it is not dependent on random forest, it is how we measure these models. Let's understand how we get data. The way we have data typically is, for model development, you will have a unique identifier. You will have set of independent variables, which we also call as predictor variables. You will have an output column, which we often refer as dependent or the target column. So these are the columns which you have as input. Probability is not available. You take the independent variable and the dependent variable, you pass it through a machine learning algorithm. The machine learning algorithm learns from data a model is created, you use the model to make prediction. At time of model development, on the development data set itself, you will use the model to make prediction. The objective is to see how good is the model fitting on the development set. Afterwards, you apply the model on your testing set to see how good the model is going to work when you apply it on a unseen data set. If your development, training, testing, these criteria are passed, you then get into model deployment stage. Now, when you are going to deploy the model, you will not have target. Why? Because when you deploy the model, the data is new, outcome is not known. Okay. So for now, we are in the development stage. At development stage, we are seeing how good is my model performing. So I have got data where independent variable is there, dependent is there. I have subjected to a machine learning. Machine learning is built, model is built. I apply the model on the development set. The development set is giving me output, which is probability. So now, how good is my model depends on how is my probability related with the actual outcome, which is shown in the column target. Okay, we have got the probability. We now have to see how is our probability relating with the target. Second step is decile the data. What do you mean by decile? Deciling is a step where you break the data in 10 buckets. Each bucket approximately having 10% of observations. So here we will be deciling the data based upon the probability column. So what we'll do is we'll take this probability column, create deciles, and add a new column, rank, where it will say, okay, rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something of that kind. So here you can visualize that I will sort the data based on probability. The data where I have lowest probabilities, I'll mark them as 1. Then the next set of 10% of records, I'll mark them as 2, 3, 4, and so forth, till I have all the data ranked. So we are creating a ranked data set 1 to 10. Having ranked the data, we will aggregate. So here is my aggregated data set. At a rank level, we will aggregate and see how many customers are there in each decile, and approximately 10% of the customers will be there in each of the buckets because we have done deciling. And how many responders? I'm using the word responders for convenience. Here I'm assuming I'm doing a rank ordering on a marketing model, using a marketing model. In case I would be using a risk model where I'm trying to predict default, I would have said how many defaulters are there in each decile. In case I would be building a model for churn, I would have said how many churners or attriters are there. So depending upon the objective of the model development, you may use a term conveniently. Here for our discussions, I'll keep using the term responder. Responders are those who are marked as 1 in the data set, who are marked as 1 in the target column. And the definition for non-responder for the sake of this discussion is non-responders are those who are marked as 0 in the target column. So what I have done is, based on probability, we have created a rank column. So rank is equivalent to probability. Low probabilities, I have given lower rank number 1, 2, 3, and higher probability groups, I have given higher rank number and aggregated the data 10, 9, 8, 7. 10 is that segment of data where high probability has been assigned by model. 1 is that segment of data where low probability has been assigned by model. These are how many customers are there in each decile. This 295 is actual number of responders which are there in the decile 10. This 176 is actual number of responders in the decile 9. When I say actual, based on the data which has been passed to the model development. 1000 minus 295 is 705. That is the number of non-responders in bucket 10. 1000 minus 176 equal to 824 is the number of non-responders in decile 9. Now we will see the steps of how to calculate the rank order table and response rate. Response rate, definition of response is number of responders in a given decile divided by total number of customers. Here the number of customers in each decile is 1000, so the calculation is very easy. 295 divided by 1000 is 29.5, 176 divided by 1000 is 17.6, and so forth. So we have got the decile wise response rate. And what is the overall response rate for our campaign? The overall response rate for our campaign is, in our data that we have taken, this is a hypothetical data which I have given to you for explanation of rank ordering table. In this hypothetical data, we have overall response rate is 7.87. So let us try to understand this. What this table is trying to tell you is, if you randomly target 10,000 customers based on your campaign, it has been observed that 787 people have responded. That is, you get a success rate of 7.87%. I repeat, the overall total is telling you, if you randomly do campaign of 10,000 people being targeted, 7.87% response rate is what you get. In case you randomly target 1 lakh customers, then you will get around 7,870 responses. Now the deciles, what they are suggesting is, if you target customers in decile 10, you will get a response rate of 29.5%. Whereas if you target customers in decile 1, you will get a response of only 0.7%. So what the model has done, based on your campaign, we applied a machine learning algorithm which gave us a model. That model has assigned probabilities. Customers who are more likely to respond, the model has assigned higher probability. Those higher probability customers are in the higher decile. And the customers who are less likely to respond, model has given lower probabilities. Those lower probabilities are converted into decile numbers which are at the bottom. Now if you compare decile column and the response rate column, what you see, in higher decile I get high response rate. As my decile goes down, my response is also falling. As my probability assigned by the model is lower, I observe, in fact, the response rate in that segment is lower. If you just focus on the numbers 29.5, 17.6, 11.5, 7.5, 3.5, 3.0, 2.3, 1.8, 1.3.7, it is gradually decreasing. There is a descending order. In a way, I can say there is a rank order. Decile is the rank, response rate is the order, and this is called a rank order table. And if your model is able to properly segment the response segment from no response segment, when we say properly segment, it does not mean you will get 100% separation, that all responders will be in one bucket and all non-responders will be in another bucket. No, we are in the realm of probability. What it means is, where the model is assigning high probability, I should get high response rate. Where the model is giving low probability, I should get low response rate. Where the model is giving moderate probability, I should get moderate response rate. And this is what I can observe when I have created these deciles and rank orders, response rate. I observe whichever the model is based on which this table would have got created, the model is rank ordering. It is one of the most important characteristic. If you are building a supervised machine learning model for a target variable which is binary, the model should rank order. If the model is not rank ordering, what it means is, you may have a scenario where you are assigning low probability, model is assigning. When I say you are assigning, I mean model is assigning. Here model is suggesting this segment will have low response rate, they are less likely to respond. However, in actual, you see, instead of 7 customers who have converted, actually there are 70 customers who have responded. If actual is 70 conversions, that is roughly 7 percentage response, in a segment where model is saying that probability of likelihood of response is low, but you are getting a high response, which means model is not working. Model is suggesting low likelihood of customer taking the offer, marketing offer, but actually you are saying in that segment high conversion is happening. Then the model is useless, because actual and what model is predicting are not in sync. So this is the explanation on rank ordering. I hope you have been able to understand this concept. It seems simple, but at the same time, it is difficult. But I hope I have tried my best to simplify it. I have explained the interpretation of the rank ordering table. So here we can see the response rate of 29.5% is in the decile 10 is the highest, whereas it is the least in decile 1. And the response rate is progressively decreasing from 29.5 to point and is ranking in line with the decile numbers. As such, I can say there is a rank ordering. Now, why it is very important to understand this rank ordering is because it is used for designing implementation strategies, profitability analysis, and more. As such, it is essential to ensure that your model has a proper rank order. At times, there may be a minor crack. For example, I'll explain what is a crack. For example, here it is a 1.8% response rate, and here you get 1.9% response rate. In that case, if you visualize, it is descending, 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 and all of a sudden there is a slight upward movement and then it is descending. So that kind of thing is we call as crack. However, if the crack is minor, you can ignore. For example, here it is 1.8 and 1.9. It's okay. Why it is okay? Because when you're going to create your deployment strategy from a marketing standpoint, your interest would be more here in the top deciles. And anyways, from a marketing standpoint, you may not want to target low response segments. So if that is the scenario, you may ignore the crack. However, if the crack is here 7.5 and then it is 8.5 instead of 3.5, in that case I cannot ignore the crack, because 7.5 and 8.5, here it is in the segment where I am actually going to do the marketing. So depends on your implementation and your business objective, you may have to pay some more attention to this. Okay. Now, how it is important and how this really impacts the implementation strategy is what I'm trying to explain. Let us assume that the marketing campaign that you are running, it has got a cost of 10 rupees per customer that you are reaching out. And if a person who is responding, I'm assuming response is equivalent to conversion. Response is typically not equivalent to conversion. For example, I send a campaign and I say whether you're interested in the offer, the customer may say I'm interested. Then the person may ask more details about my offer and finally he may not take the product. But here I'm making a simple assumption, the response is equivalent to conversion, and that conversion is equivalent to 150 per person who converts. Per person who responds, assume I get an average 150 rupees as revenue. So here with these numbers, let us now try to see whether it is profitable to do campaign and in which deciles it is profitable. In decile 10, I have 1000 customers. At a cost of rupees 10, if I target them, my cost will be 10,000 rupees. In decile 10, I have 295 conversions. Conversions are going to give me a revenue of 150. So 295 into 150, 44,250 is my revenue. So my profit will be 34,250. In decile 9, I have 1000 customers. Again, if I target them, my cost of campaign will be 10,000. Responders are 176. At a conversion revenue of 150 per conversion, I get a revenue of 26,400. Profit is 16,400. This way, if you keep calculating, my profit will be 34,250. Decile wise profit I'm showing you 16,400 and so forth. However, in decile 6, my conversion is so less that my cost is higher, my revenue is lower, I'm actually making a loss. If you take the total at the overall grand total level, I'm making a profit. So if you would have seen the campaign at a overall level, you would have said, okay, hey, I have made a profit. I made a profit of 18,050. But if you slice and dice your data based on segments where you made profit and where you did not make profit, if you do something like that, just imagine you have some tool by which you are able to segment them. And here what we have done is we have segmented them in deciles based upon probability. And what it is saying that, hey, if you would have just targeted 1000 customers, anyways, you would have made a profit of 34,250. Why waste money on this remaining 90? You're doing campaign to 10,000 customers, your effort is more, your profit is less. Whereas here by model is saying, okay, go ahead and target only this 1000 customers. Your effort is less, profit is more. So now you can see this strategy coming out of here. So if you can have a model and before running the campaign, you have this kind of a sheet in front of you, how you will have your response coming from various segments. Before running the campaign itself, you can say, okay, I'll target only these buckets because I'm making profit. Why target this also? There may be a strategy that I don't want to leave this segment for competitor. Because if you're going to leave segments for competitor, you cannot build a business with very low customer base. So you may have to reach out to all the segments where you are at least profitable. At the same time, you do not want to be in a scenario where you say, oh, I'll get all customers only even if I make loss. Even that is not possible, right? So you may have your strategy based upon whether your business is in an acquisition stage, whether your business is in a growth stage, whether your business is in saturation stage. So depending upon the business, the product that you are trying to sell, you will have to create a strategy. But what I am trying to say, a rank order table, when you add your cost of campaign, when you add your revenue from conversions, do a profitability analysis, it gives you much more better insight on how you want to use the model for deployment and business action. So this is what we have on why rank order table is important. Next step, how we calculate KS statistics from this rank order table. We'll get into that. However, I hope you have been able to understand this concept, digest it for some time. We now move to the next part of this, which is Kolmogorov-Smirnov calculation. But before we move to this all calculations, what I want you to do is, if you're watching the videos, you have to note down all of these numbers on an Excel sheet. So kindly copy these numbers on Excel sheet. Okay, I hope by now you would have copied it. We now move to the calculation of KS statistics. KS stands for Kolmogorov-Smirnov statistics. It is one of the most used model performance measure when your target variable is yes and no. Higher the value of KS, better is the model. Higher value indicates the model is able to separate the response segment much better from the non-response segment. Lower the KS, which means the separation is not good. Now, how do you calculate the KS statistics? Step by step, we'll do the calculations. So here is the entire screen of calculation. We already have the rank, number of customers, number of responders, number of non-responders, and the response rate. Now we need to calculate cumulative responder. So here in the first decile we will have 295. In the next decile we will have 295 plus 176, that is equal to 471. In Excel, what you have to do is you have to say equal to cell reference to this cell. Then in the next cell, what you have to do is equal to cell reference to this cell plus cell reference to this cell. You will get 471, and then copy paste. Automatically the numbers will get filled. Similarly, we have to calculate a column which is cumulative non-responders. In the topmost decile, 705 is what we'll have. The next decile will have 705 plus 824. So basically cumulative of these starting two numbers equal to 1529. Then the cumulative of starting three numbers 5705, 824, 885, that will be equal to 2414. This way you have to compute the cumulative. So we get cumulative response, cumulative non-response. These cumulative numbers we have to convert into percentage. Now what we have to do is proportions of the whole. So what is 295 proportion of the whole? This is 787 is the total number of responders. So 295 divided by 787, it is equal to 37.5 percentage. How to interpret this 37.5? In the overall data of 10,000, we have 787 responders. By using model, we have found out highest response segment, which is decile 10. In this decile 10, we only have 1000 customers. However, in this topmost decile, we have got 295 responders. 1000 customers out of 10,000 is just 10%. whereas this 295 responders out of 787 is 37.5. So what this 37.5 is telling is, if you target only the top decile, you will be targeting only 10% of the available base. However, you will be still able to capture 37.5% of the potential responders. If you target the top two deciles, you will be able to capture 59.8, that is almost 60. If you are targeting top three deciles, you will be able to capture almost 75%. Obviously, if you are going to target all the 10 deciles, 10 to 1, you will capture 100% of the potential responders. So this is what the cumulative is saying. Likewise, you have to compute the non-cumulative. So the non-cumulative will be calculated by taking 705 divided by 9213. Then you have to take the cumulative of 1529 divided by 9213 and so forth. This way you get the cumulative non-responders. So kindly create the columns cumulative responder, non-responder, percentage cumulative and percentage cumulative non-responders in Excel, and then we move to the next final step, that is KS calculation. Now the final step, KS. KS is difference of the cumulative response percentage minus this. I have expressed these numbers in percentage. However, when you use the tool like Python and R, the numbers will come in decimals. So it will come as 0.298, 0.433. For simplicity, I prefer using the percentage symbol. Okay. So the case is around 48.3, that is 0.483. Now, why specifically I have highlighted this 48.3? You have to keep calculating the difference for each of these decile. Wherever in this KS column, the value is maximum, that number is the KS statistics. KS is the point of maximum separation between the response segment and the non-response segment. Visually, let me try to explain what I am trying to say, the point of maximum separation. Okay, I don't have a visual chart here, so I'll create the visual chart on the empty space which is available. Let me have my pen marker. I'm not good at using these markers. Okay, I got a fairly good straight line. So here, this axis, let's call as decile. And this axis, here we have percentage cumulative numbers. So we will have percentage cumulative numbers for responders and non-responder. So here, let's just have the deciles starting in the reverse direction, 10, 9, all the way going up to 1. What this is trying to say you, if you target only the decile 10, you will have cumulative response captured 37.5. So here is cumulative numbers 10, 20, 30, 40. So somewhere here I'll have the cumulative 37.5. If I target top two decile, my cumulative will be around 60. So here it is 50 and then 60. So here there will be decile 9. If I capture the 2, this will go up to 60. If I target top 3 decile, the cumulative is around 75. So here decile 8, this is 60, 70, 80. So somewhere here in between 70 and 80, we will have the decile coming like this. Obviously, as I keep going up, this number will go till 100. decile 1. Cumulative till decile 1 is 100. Let me change the ink. Probably right click. Pen does not give me options. Pen color, yeah. Blue. Let us now plot non-responders. If I target only the decile 10, cumulative non-responders would be 7.5, 7.7. If I target the two deciles, it will go up to 16, something like this. So if I keep plotting this non-responders cumulative, it will keep going like this, something of this sort. So here we can label it percentage cum of non-responders, and obviously the above one is percentage cum of responders. And here what you can see is the separation. This is the separation, which I'm using a black line to show the separation. Now this separation is nothing but the difference which you calculated, 37.5 minus 7.7 equal to this. So if I keep calculating this, here you see the separation is increasing, and up to a point it increases. There is a maximization of separation, and then after a certain point this separation again decreases. The point of maximum separation between the cumulative responders and non-responder is called the case statistics. So in short, how good the model is able to separate the response segment from non-response segment, and that measure is quantified at a particular point where you get the maximization. That maximized separation point, we take it and call it Ks. And in this case, in this entire table, we see the point of maximum separation value is 48.3, that is 0.483. So we will use the number 0.483 is the Ks. I have expressed in percentage, but typically it is given in decimals. It is a number ranging from 0 to 1. This is the explanation of case statistics. Let us see the interpretation of case. In the above table, the maximum separation we observed is 48.3, so the case statistics is 0.483. The value of case ranges from 0 to 1. It is desirable to have a case value above 0.4, 0.45. Maximum you should have 0.7, 0.75. That is a desirable range. If your case becomes 1, which means you have got a perfect separation. On one side you have all responders only, on other side you have all non-responders only. Typically when we build a machine learning model, we don't get a perfect separation. 100% perfect separation is not possible in most of the scenario. If you get a very high KS, you should very cautiously try to re-examine your model, because it may be a chance of overfitting case. High KS above 0.7, there is a risk of overfitting. You have to be very stringent and do stringent quality checks of your calculations, your assumptions, your hypothesis, your data preparation steps, your target variable definition, etc., before you accept a model having a KS of 0.7 or above. Most of the time, we get a case of 0.45, zero point 0.5, and those models we accept as good models and deploy them. Okay, that's what in industry happens. So this is how interpretation of case is. Having explained the case, let's see two more important model performance that is derived from the same rank order table. From this rank order table which we started, and this is why I said there is a lots of importance to this rank order. There are two more important thing that is called as lift chart and the gains, lift calculation and the gains table. So let's understand gains table, lift chart. Let's try to understand with a very basic probability concepts. I have total 10,000 customers. Number of responders are 787. So my overall response rate is 7.87. In a random strategy, from this 10,000, I randomly select 1,000 customers. I'm talking random probability concepts. You have to be very clear. Random sampling and the probability concepts, you have to be very clear of these concepts. If you're not clear, then you may want to revisit probability and statistic session. From this, we are randomly picking 1,000 observations. How many potential responders will be there in that 1,000? If I am randomly selecting 1,000, 7.87 of that 1,000, that is approximately around 78, 79 responders will be there. This is a random strategy. However, if I go with a model based strategy, in a model based strategy, you are going to select the topmost decile, the best segment. If I select the topmost segment, I get 1,000 customers. I take 1,000 customers, and from that 1,000 customers, I get approximately 295 responders. So my response rate is 295 divided by 1,000, that is 29.5%. I now compare the model strategy vis-a-vis the random strategy. In a random strategy, I get 7.8% response rate. In a model strategy, I have got 29.5% response rate. 29.5 divided by 7.8, that is 3.75, which means if I have to just target 1,000 customers using a model strategy, gives me a lift of 3.75 times the random strategy. The definition of lift is the ratio of success rate you get by model strategy to the random strategy. Okay, whether you have understood or not, let us try to see by giving a problem statement. So I come back to my main response rate table. Assume you are selecting 2,000 customers randomly. Calculate the number of responders that you are expected to get based on random strategy. What is the number of customers you are going to get based on model strategy, where you're going to take the topmost two deciles, 10 and 9? How many responders you're going to get, and what is your response rate for the two deciles together? Calculate that, and finally calculate what is the lift you're going to get when you are targeting two deciles vis-a-vis the random strategy. You have to do the calculations, and if you are able to correctly get the answer, you have understood the concept of lift. The lift for this problem statement which I gave is 2.99 or 3 in rounded terms. So if you're getting an answer lift equal to 3, it is correct. Let me now explain the calculation using the gains table. The term gains means how much we have gained. So if I target the top 2 deciles, I would have got 471 responders out of the total 787 response. This 471 out of 787 is 59.8 percentage of the total responders. However, logically, if you think, if I target only 20 percentage of the population, that is 2000 out of 10,000, and that too randomly, then 20 percentage of the responders, overall responders, should be there in that 20 percentage sample. If I randomly select 30 percentage sample, in that 30% random sample, 30 percentage of the total responders should be present. That is a random strategy. However, because of the model, I am getting in 20 percentage sample, I am getting 59.8 percentage response. So 59.8, if you divide it by 20 percentage, you will get a lift of 2.99. Similarly, if I'm using a model, I target top 3 deciles, 74.5 percentage of the responders cumulatively is captured in top 3 responders. This cumulative proportion of responders captured, for example, this is cumulative responders 295, 471, 586. When you convert it in proportion, 295 divided by 787, it is 37.5. 471 divided by 787, it is 59.8. This cumulative proportion of responders captured is called cumulative gains. You divide the cumulative gains divided by the percentage sample being targeted. So when I target the top 3 decile, I'm targeting 30 percentage of the population. So simply divide 74.5 divided by 30 percentage, you will get the lift number 2.48. Simply divide 84 divided by 40 percentage, because I'm taking top 4 deciles, divided by that, I'll get the number 2.1. This is the lift. Cumulative gains and lift is both explained. Gains is total number of responders which you are able to capture cumulatively, and we typically put this number in proportion terms, and we call it as cumulative gains or simply gains. So this is the complete gains table which we have. Try to calculate these numbers of cumulative gains and lift in Excel. As you start doing the calculation in Excel, you will naturally understand the concept better. As you prepare this gains table, you would have noted that if you target all the customers right from decile 10 to 1, you will have a lift of 1. The reason why you will have a lift of 1 is you have targeted all the deciles. Cumulatively, you have targeted 100 percentage of the population and you have got 100 percentage of the response. So lift 100 percentage divided by 100 percentage equal to 1. You will have lift only when you target a small segment of the population where you have very high response. In that case, you will be able to get a lift. And if you target the entire population which is available for you at your disposal for marketing purpose. And if that is the philosophy, to go ahead and target anyone and everyone, then you really do not require a model. Then why waste effort on building a model? If you are building a model, then remember you should have a strategy on how to use the model. If the strategy is to anyways go ahead and target everyone, then why build a model in the first place? Okay, having created the lift chart, from the above table, we target only the top decile and so forth. The calculations are all explained here. The ratio is 37.5. If I target the top 3 deciles, 74.5 divided by 30, that is my lift. So we have our lift and gains, all calculations shown. We can make a plot of the lift, which is something like this. The red line indicates the baseline, which is whatever is business as usual success rate, that is considered as 1. How many times higher you get the conversion with respect to business as usual, that is called lift. And you can see the plot, lift is moving from 3.75 up to 1. Okay, having explained the lift, how do we calculate all of this in R or Python? The code for calculating lift chart, rank ordering table, the Python code is given here. You can simply copy paste. There is a rank order function which I have created, and pass appropriate parameters, your XY columns in the target, and you will get X is your data set. You pass your data set, your actual column and probabilities, and you get the model. Similarly, there is a R code. Okay, R code I have not yet added. So Python code. Let me show you how to go about executing this in Python on the model which we have built so far. I'm switching to my Jupyter notebook. So we will create the rank ordering on the model which we have built in our last session. If you recollect, we built a multiple logistic regression model in our last session, where we had gender, occupation, HP imputed, DV age. We took 4 columns and then found gender to be insignificant. We dropped gender. There are additional columns which are available, which we have ignored them, as I have given them as a home practice assignment to you people. The score, number of credit transaction variables. So we have this model and predict function. On the development data set itself, we are computing the probability. We are in model performance on the development data set. We have to do validation also. And this is the code. On this code, on this data set, I pass the dev data set, the probability which we have calculated, and the actual target. I run this code and I get the rank ordering. All the calculations which we have done in Excel has been automated here. And I need to see the KS. KS of my model is only 28.9. Model is not a great model. Why? I had mentioned if the model KS is above 40 and desirable is 45-50, then you have got a fairly good model. Let me see whether my model is rank ordering. To see whether the model is rank ordering, I need response rate. Let me just explain the table. There is a probability column. Based on probability, I have created the decile. Here the decile number is starting from 9 up to 0 instead of 10 up to 1, because Python takes indexes from 0. Minimum probability, maximum probability. As you can see, as you go deciles downward, the probabilities range in this segment is the lowest. That has been put as 0 decile. Then the probability range is going up. It has moved into decile 1 and so forth. And highest probability segment is given decile 9. In each decile, we are computing how many customers are there. Of that, how many responders are there, how many non-responders are there, and number of responders. CNT stands for count. This is abbreviation for count I have used. 146 divided by total number is my response rate. So in the topmost decile, we have a very good response rate of 14%. Then it is 6.47, then it is 5.09, 4.90, 3.61, 3.69. There is a marginal crack. Remember, I was speaking of cracks. The crack is very marginal. I can ignore it. 3.20, 1.80, 1.60, 1.00. Overall response rate, if I focus, model is rank ordering. How good is the model? Based on case statistics, it is just 28.94. Average model. Can I improve the model? Probably yes. How I can improve the model? There are certain independent variables, score, number of credit transaction, which we have not yet accounted for. There are more variables. If you recollect in our data set, these are the variables. So we have not accounted for variables like balance. We have not accounted for variable like score. These variables we have not yet considered. If we bring them in the model, our model can improve. Just to demonstrate that whether my model improves or not, I'll add one more variable here. Score. I have rerun the regression. My logit is the new model. If you have rerun, you have to recompute the probability using the predict function. I recompute the probability. Having recomputed the probability, I'll have to once again pass it to this one decile. Okay, let us see the benefit of adding one more variable. My KS has now increased to 33.27. If your model has changed, you should again focus on your rank ordering of the response rate: 17.2, 6.6, 4.6, 4.4, 3.3, 2.6, 2.5, 2.1, 1.8 and 0.9. Rank ordering has improved. My lift earlier was around 3.2. This time my lift is around 3.74. Remember, for a good model, the lift in the topmost decile should be around 4 or 5. So either you go with a KS statistics, that KS should be around 45, or you go with a lift in the topmost decile, saying my lift in the top decile should be above 4. It should be around 4.55. Even that is a good way of looking at model. However, I always prefer KS statistics. But what I have demonstrated is, if you add more independent variables which have got good predictive power, you can improvise your model. So the Python code execution is also explained. The Python code is all given here. I have not uploaded the R code. So this is the kind of output we have. With this, we come to end of this session. In upcoming session, we will see other model performance measures like classification accuracy, AUC ROC curve. There are many such other model performance measures which we are going to see in the next session. The link to that is next blog. If I click, it will take me to those measures. You can read it at your own free time. With this, I conclude today's session on model performance measure. Thank you. Bye bye.